This is a moment that demands coordinated, decisive and innovative policy action from the world's leading economies.
A stronger, more unified response will save lives.
If we do not act, the most vulnerable among us, indigenous people, developing nations, communities of color, will be hit first and hardest and will even be further economically disadvantaged. This is not the work of a single year or a single nation, but instead requires our collective long-term commitment to ensure the benefits of climate action are shared by all. And as the COVID-19 pandemic has shown, we can only solve the challenges facing our global community with a coordinated international response.
And the meaning of a coordinated global response is what you called global government. That's one world government. So you set up a global crisis and demand a coordinated global response. And only the one who's not paying attention will not understand that the meaning of coordinated global response is global government.
Within the same category of using words to codify a sinister agenda, the digital identity campaign that came along with the failed vaccination mandate in late 2020 provides for us another instance of the instrumentality of coded language in public governance.
They've told you the digital identity is a computerized record of who a person is. What are they saying? What is the meaning of this? Always understand the language. When you read what they're telling you, look at it clearly and understand the coded information.
They want you to have all your information on your phone. There will be a time in the future when you cannot go out without your phone. They want to have your money in an electric grid so that they can then control it. They want to disappear cash. They want you to only use the currencies issued by the central bank digital currencies. And when I say they, I mean the organization run by this man. It's not Santa Claus, it's Klaus Schwab. He runs an organization that is essentially leading the future of the world, and they want everything to be digitalized. But there are some countries that don't follow these rules, that don't want to control their citizens to the point of having all the money issued by a central bank in a digital currency so that they can then tax it, they can then take it away from you, they can then close your account like they did in Canada. Canada is one of the biggest proponents of this whole movement towards CBDCs. So I want you to look at the options around the world. Don't just think that, oh, CBDCs are coming, these digital currencies are going to control all our life, digital IDs, biometrics. Some people are going to the supermarket and paying with their face or paying with their fingerprint. They don't know that they will be controlled based on their biometrics. They don't want to use cash anymore because it's not convenient, but they don't know that they are creating the future of control. They're creating a future where your biometrics can be used against you.
Within the same category of using words to codify a sinister agenda, the digital identity campaign that came along with the failed vaccination mandate in late 2020 provides for us another instance of the instrumentality of coded language in public governance.
And this is why we have to understand the war against dissent and freedom of speech today. Let's take a look at that document from the White House. Expanding and protecting the health workforce and minimizing disruptions to routine and essential health services. I told you, the coded language there, minimizing disruptions. I told you, that's a coded language for the fight against dissent. So anyone who disagrees with them is an enemy of the state. That's what that language means. Minimizing disruptions. That's the kind of language that you learn from the World Economic Forum.
The problem they think they have to fix before they can tackle all other problems is the ability of people to disagree with them. That is the central thing they're trying to stop. Everything else is on hold. They said disinformation, the central problem. after they fix the problem of people being able to say whatever they want online and complain about them and criticize them and maybe stumble across ideas that are wrong or confusing or bad, they're going to fix that first, and then they can do whatever they want. That's their attitude. And I think that's a threatening from democracy standpoint. That's a threatening from free speech standpoint.
So they decide what terms we're going to use, what we're going to call what, and then we just fall for it and keep quiet and pick up their terms and use whatever they tell us. But the strategy is to eliminate whatever it was that we believed in and come in with what they want and install this heathenistic authority over the nations.
Another very vivid case of deploying coded language in public governance and international politics is the use of the phrase, "follow the rule of law." Superficially, it appears as a call to abide by the laws of the land, but in reality it's a covert way of the globalist insisting that whatever propositions they make is the law.
When they use the term the rule of law, I told you, don't think they are referring to the rule of the Constitution. What you think they mean is not what they mean. They know you are thinking about the rule of law as to what the Constitution states. That's not what they think. What they mean is that they are the law. The rule of law means the rule of the most powerful.
In a fiery primetime speech from Philadelphia, President Biden warned of what he says is a real threat to American democracy.
I ran for president because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I still believe that to be true.
The president called out former President Trump by name Thursday night and accused Trump's supporters of extremism.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people.
So many don't understand the coded language in which these, I don't want to use a word for them right now, but people don't understand their language. When the President of the United States or his aides, when they use the term the rule of law, what do they mean? Let me tell you, they don't mean the same thing that you think. What they're talking about is you must do things their way because as far as they're concerned, they are the law.
A justice system that goes after its political opponents. A political party in power that tries to eliminate its political opposition from the ballot. The same country where have a southern border that's been more porous than it's ever been in our lifetime, where we're welcoming the very people who break the rule of law to enter this country, while all the more making it more difficult for the people who actually want to come the right way. We have an abandonment of the rule of law in the United States of America. People like Mayorkas and his boss Joe Biden, they have abandoned the founding principle of this country that we're a nation of laws, not of men. That's the United States of America.
When they have a problem with you, they say no one is above the law. No one is above the law. You think they're talking about the Constitution. They're talking about themselves. It's a coded language. They're trying to say to you, you can't overrule us. You can't do what we don't want. You are not allowed to do what we don't want. It's a coded language. That's what they mean by no one is above the law.
No one is above the law. Explain the very same people who spent all day making excuses for illegitimate government spying on American citizens. But never mind. Literally, no one is above the law. Watch.
No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. No one's above the law.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You don't need a law degree to understand it. Nobody is above the law. Nobody. What the left accuses you of doing is precisely what they're doing themselves. They accuse you of fostering racism. Pushing conspiracy theories, lying to the American people. It's all starting to finish the sentence. Of course, those are the three main things they're doing. When the last president, President Obama, killed a U.S. citizen without a trial using drone strikes. Not an abuse of power. Are you kidding? That's another debunked conspiracy theory. Or when he had the FBI investigate a rival presidential campaign based on an obviously fraudulent dossier of opposition research written by a foreigner using intel from the Russian government. That was not an abuse of power. What? You're crazy. What, do you work for Fox News or something? You freak.
Another expression that adds incredible validation to the use of coded language is the phrase, "a new world order." To the one with revelatory understanding, it is an euphemism for the ultimate restructuring of the human society for the selfish benefits and interests of the globalists.
So when they say a new world order, what do they really mean? Is it just that things will be done differently? No, they're talking about the same thing. They are referring to the same thing. What they meant when they said the rule of law. The new world order actually means a new order of colonization, a new order of dominance by certain group of people, a certain class of people who have, of course, arrogated to themselves the power to do it. And because they use such friendly terms as a new world order, rule of law, many are deceived.
A new world order where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. It is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And this is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. And so many of us around the world think that, well, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas. All systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all. Because when systems don't meet, when they're out of balance or not in sync with one another, they can't be controlled centrally. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government and total control from a central unit. It's about impoverishing huge portions of the population and bringing down the developed nations. Everything that we're looking at now is destined to collapse our economies. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world.
Another case of the clandestine use of coded language is the recent WHO's International Health Treaty document presented under the guise of global health emergencies.
They want to be able, from the WHO headquarters, to declare an emergency. They call it a health emergency in your country far away. And in that document, they are the ones with the power to decide that there is a health emergency in your country. You are not allowed to say so. It's up to them to decide. Now, with that decision, that there is an emergency, a health emergency in your country, they arrogate to themselves by that treaty the power to declare emergency rule. What does that mean? Your parliament is suspended. your Congress is suspended, and your country will be ruled by decrees by the WHO. Your government is paralyzed. They become the government of your country by decrees. Your national laws suspended. That'll be the end of your nation states.
So far, in these past 3 years, WHO would give recommendations on what happens if there is an outbreak, a pandemic, or something. If this is passed, it will not be recommendations anymore. It's going to be mandatory obligations. And WHO Director General, they will have power to actually proclaim whether the country needs to close the borders, what type of medications, tests, future vaccines we can use. They will also require all our member states to give up to 5% of their health budget to the WHO, because they need that money to actually kind of administer this new bureaucracy that they're starting to create. The bottom line, from our standpoint, the way the United States is looking at it, is we feel that the nations will lose sovereignty, at least will lose rights on how they can implement any strategies, whether there is a new pandemic or not. Everything will be done, dictated by WHO.
The very concept of the democracy that we've taken for granted all of our lives is under threat as it never has been before. And it's not just in my country, it's not across Europe, it is across the whole of the world. It's not from external armies mounding up on our borders this time, but it is from the corruption and the decay of our own institutions are allowing this to happen. The Global Pandemic Treaty is such a threat to our sovereignty, looming ominously on the horizon, together with the amendments to the international health regulations, which will fundamentally, if they're passed through our parliaments, alter the relationship between the citizens and the state. The WHO would paint an illusion of nation states coming together to fight deadly pathogens, when it's really, as we've already heard, a power grab by an unaccountable elite, rather keen to reinforce the power shift that has already happened in the global pandemic response to COVID-19. The recommendations made during COVID-19 by the WHO were advisory, and they now want them to become mandatory.
So, this recent trend of coded language in public communication and international politics should not be overlooked. God's people in public governance should therefore refuse to ignore ambiguous communication wherever noticeable.
So, you have to work hard. Many Christian legislators, and you don't have to be a legislator. As a Christian and as intelligent as you are, read through your laws and regulations on major subjects and check. They don't expect anybody to take actions against them because they are the law. But that's just for now. They haven't read history. They read history, they would know that the lying tongue is for a moment. It has a future. It never wins. Not even the Antichrist, not even the devil. We are full of the spirit of truth. Satan cannot withstand us. He can't. We are full of the spirit of truth in the name of the Lord Jesus. And as we release truth to the ends of the earth, the forces of darkness cannot stand us. The forces of deception are paralyzed. This is not their day. This is our day. This is the day of the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is the day of grace. Manta Kora Se Karabahaya. And the spirit of truth has been poured out to the ends of the earth. We are victorious. Hallelujah.
The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Proverbs 12 verse 19.